can't say where this disaster response took place, but there was one situation where we had been flying out, and you don't always get the most cooperation from the governments whose people you're actually helping. It's an anomaly that people don't understand. They always think that the governments are going to help. But we encountered one government in a situation where they actually tried to ground our aircraft. So they wanted to keep all the aircraft and the helicopters on the ground until the Prime Minister had had a chance to go out and say to everyone that relief was going to be following. Unfortunately, they were quite unaware of the situation that the people in that area were facing, which was some of them were without food and water. Now, people think, well, you're without food and water, you can survive for a little bit of time. You can't, especially if you've got a baby, especially if you've got elderly people. They can't survive. They need it immediately. And so we were faced with this situation where we've been flying in and out of this area as humanitarian operations. And the government said they were grounding all humanitarian operations flights. So from that point on, technically we were grounded. And what we decided to do in our infinite wisdom was, together with the pilots, we peeled all the registration numbers off of the aircraft and had replacement registration numbers to put on. And someone said to me, well, look, what are we going to call ourselves? We've got to come up with a name. I couldn't think of anything. So off the top of my head, the only thing I could think of was Thunderbirds. So we decided that in that situation, we were going to call ourselves International Rescue. And when they said, well, what are the call signs going to be for the aircraft? Well, the only thing, again, I could remember was seeing TB1, TB2, TB3, etc. So all the aircraft were called Tango Bravo 1, Tango Bravo 2. And it became a joke amongst all the pilots that as we were taking off, we'd all start singing the Thunderbirds theme tune and saying Thunderbirds a go, etc. Because what they didn't realise that we were mimicking a TV programme. That was the only thing we could come up with so that they wouldn't know who were taking off. It was the same aircraft. The air traffic control were happy knowing that it was the same aircraft to let us take off, because we were no longer called humanitarian operations. We were suddenly International Rescue, or Thunderbirds.
So what no one realised was that what we used to do when we were taking off was we had the co-pilot next to me going, and it's singing the Thunderbirds theme tune all the way through. If you can imagine 3 or 4 pilots all doing this at the same time. We really thought we were Thunderbirds.